it came to a certain point in our friendship where I kind of had withdrawn myself from her. Actually, I kind of like stopped talking to her, and then when we would hang out, I would get so irritated. Like, I would get so incredibly irritated whenever I was around her, and I couldn't figure out why. And I would tell my mom this. I was like, why am I so irritated when I'm hanging out with her? Like, she's like my best friend. And my mom said, well, sometimes when you're at the end of the season, the Lord's gonna make you feel uncomfortable in that season to get you to move, because you're not gonna move if you're comfortable. If you're very comfortable in a place, you're not gonna want to go forward. So it was working, because when I tell you I was irritated, I mean, she was irritating. Every little thing she did irritated me. So eventually one day I made the decision to I think I just told her I didn't want to be friends anymore. I blocked her on everything, deleted her on everything. I unfollowed her on Roblox. I mean, it was serious. I mean, I completely just cut off all contact with her, because I was like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I was so uncomfortable. Yeah, and then from that day forward, I started making more friends. I tried to reconcile with the girls in my neighborhood, but I guess it just wasn't meant to be, because, you know, we all got older eventually, and, you know, it just wasn't meant to be. We ain't got no beef though, we're cool. But yeah, it was one of the best decisions I ever made, because I definitely wouldn't have branched out. I can't imagine how much worse my experience in middle school and high school would have been if I had still been friends with her. Because, I mean, yeah, but basically it didn't end there. The spirit was still had like a tiny bit of a grip on me back then, even though I was not friends with her anymore. It takes a lot of prayer, meditation to get rid of it. So yeah, basically, and like I just told you, it didn't completely stop there, because even my dad noticed I started to get a little bit quieter. I still had friends, like in elementary school, I still definitely had friends, but I did start to get a little quieter and shyer. Like beforehand, like when I was a child, I was like the most lively, extroverted child ever. I would talk to any and everybody. I had no problem making friends. I had no problem talking to random people. Absolutely no issue. People would always say, she's so fun, she's so social. Like, I was a social butterfly. I had no issue making friends. But when I was friends with her, and then after I was friends with her, like at the end of our friendship, suddenly I wasn't able to make friends so easily, and I was more nervous to talk to people. I wasn't really socializing as much, and it really started to show in middle school, in the 8th grade especially. And even when you're in an environment where no one is like you, and you feel like you can't make any friends because there's no one like you, and you feel isolated, you don't talk to nobody. And that's what I did. I mean, I have pictures. I mean, you would have thought I was depressed. I mean, I was so sad, because the school wasn't that great as a whole, and then I didn't have any friends, so that made it worse. So it was a really bad environment. And then again, like I go back to high school, the spirit didn't leave, because again, I had trouble making friends. I couldn't figure out why I had so much trouble making friends. And then things just weren't going great at my dance studio my freshman year. I was having a really hard time there. And again, that going back to the maladaptive daydreaming, that made it worse, because I was just not satisfied with how dance was going, with how school was going. I'm not making any friends. So that was just a hard year as a whole. But then the summer before sophomore year, I started to get more serious with God, and that was when I told him that I was ready to cut off that maladaptive daydreaming. Like, again, if you watched the last video, I didn't, but okay, he's not condemning me for it. I was still trying. That was when I was in like the zealous stage of your relationship with God, because you know, you start off real, yeah, with this zeal, this excitement and passion for God, which is something I don't want to lose. That's besides the point. So yeah, I started to get more serious, and I guess I still hadn't really recognized that it was like a spirit of fear that had a grip on me. I was just more so focused on like high school, making friends, but I didn't understand how I was going to do that, because I didn't know that the reason why I couldn't make friends was because I had this spirit of fear on me, which I didn't know how to get rid of, and I wasn't paying attention to. So it was like I was trying to do one thing, but I had to get rid of something in order to do that thing. Yeah, pretty complex. So yeah, and then sophomore year was actually worse. I had so much worse trouble making friends. That year, I didn't have any friends that year. I at least had some associates in my gym class freshman year. Sophomore year, I mean, in my classes, I was in classes with people. It's almost worse when you're in classes with people that you know but you're not friends with. I was in classes with people that knew each other very well, but they knew each other very well. Like, I knew of them because they were in my dance class, but they were all best friends. So if there was some sort of group work, I was not working with them. If it happened to be a 5-person assignment, they would choose me. But if it was a 4-person assignment, they were not choosing me, which is okay. I mean, I wouldn't expect people who don't know me like that to invite me in their clique. So yeah, I had I really didn't have any friends like that sophomore year. In my English class, I had one person. No, No, I would say I had one friend, but again, it wasn't the kind of friend where they would sit with me at lunch or they would call me up and like, hey Kirsten, let's have sleepover. Yeah, it wasn't that kind of friend, but it was somebody that I could talk to. But again, same thing. I went right back to that library, and I was so disappointed in myself because I was like, come on, Lord, like I thought this year was gonna be different. But something did eventually change that year. Again, this is when I got more serious with God, and when I made the decision to just completely cut off the maladaptive daydreaming, and that's really what made it better. Was when I got really serious with God, and I know I keep going back to my last like 4 videos, but that's really what it was. It was when I decided to cut off that sin I was dealing with so heavily and really get serious with God that I started to become more in tune with Him and hear Him better. And that's how I was able to break free from fear, because I eventually in like the middle, beginning-ish, more so middle of my sophomore year, I told the Lord that I wanted to try and sit with somebody at lunch, and I told my dad this too. My dad he would always just reinforce to me, Kirsten, you are so likable. Like you are the most likable person ever. You're so much fun to be around. You're an amazing friend. Stop letting the enemy rob you of your future. And he would just tell me, like Kirsten, like why are you allowing these thoughts of anxiety, these thoughts that have absolutely no evidence? Because that's what anxiety is. Anxiety is thoughts with no evidence. Scenarios playing in your mind of things that could possibly happen that you have no proof of. Think about it. Anytime have had anxiety about some sort of event or situation, you're just playing scenarios in your mind that have not happened, that you don't even know are going to happen, but you're meditating on those scenarios, and that's what's instilling and creating this fear within you that went to the point where when the event actually happens, maybe what you cooked up in your mind actually does happen because that's what you were expecting to happen. You allowed those thoughts to become a reality. So yeah, that's what I was doing. I was so anxious. I thought that no one wanted to talk to me, and I eventually did. That year, I did decide to go out and do a play, which was one step for me. I decided to do the musical at my school, which helped me to make friends. That was a great experience for me. That was also when I decided to quit dancing at my dance studio, which was a really good decision for my mental health because it was just not going well for me dancing wise. People were great, of course, but the dancing was not going well for me. So yeah, I eventually I did actually try and sit in the cafeteria once, and I was kind of just trying to test the waters. A big thing for me was I just felt very overwhelmed when I went to the cafeteria because again, you know, a cafeteria, there's a bunch of people in there and everybody's sitting at some table, and I couldn't point out who to sit with. I didn't know who to sit with, so I was very uncomfortable going in because I didn't really know or understand how I was gonna sit with somebody or sit with one specific person, which was really difficult. So I just like gave up eventually, and I'm trying to remember when I decided to try again. Oh, in my history class, there were 4 girls. Hold on, 4 girls. I believe it was 4 girls. It was 4. They sat in the front of the room right next to the teacher, and they were always laughing. And it was one black girl and 3 other white girls. They were always laughing about something. Something always seemed to be funny, and they just seemed so much fun. They just seemed so nice. And one of the girls I'd actually remembered from freshman year. I know she didn't remember me, but I remember everybody. And I would always look at them. And I guess one day I just decided those were gonna be the girls I was gonna sit with. And mind you, this year I was still sitting in the library, and I made the decision because we had the same lunch. It was right after, in the middle of history class. We would go to lunch, and then we would come back from history, and we would continue class, continue third period. And I was so nervous because I was about to arrange to go to lunch, and I was like, oh shoot, I'm really about to do this. I kept second guessing myself. I wasn't sure. So we were all walking to lunch, and I was walking behind them, and I was absolutely terrified. I mean, all I could hear was, they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to talk to you. And then I just remembered that quote, anxiety is thoughts with no evidence. I was like, you have no evidence, no proof that they don't want to talk to me. I was terrified. I asked one of the girls if I could sit with them, and she was like, oh my god, yeah, she was so nice. She was so nice about it. So I sat down with them, and I kind of like talked to them a little bit. It was it was very uncomfortable actually. It was very uncomfortable at first. I was really afraid to talk to them. Um, so yeah, I was really scared to talk to them, but I did, and it was fine. They were very nice about it. They were a little closed off because they didn't know me that well, but they were very nice. And then I kept getting more consistent with it because I knew it was going to be consistency that helped to build a friendship And by the second day, we were cool. I mean, one of the girls, um, she was telling me about her like her life and everything and something like that, and we were laughing by like the second day. And then by the third day, like two of them invited me to their birthday parties that they had coming up. And then by then we had sat together every single day. I mean, during class we would sit together and just laugh and eat. And then at lunch we would have fun at lunch, and it turns out we had a lot in common. And I mean, they were the nicest girls ever. They were so freaking sweet, and I love them. I'm still friends with them to this day. They're so cool. One of them specifically I'm really good friends with. It was the one that I didn't go to the other girl's birthday party because I had work, but the one of them I did go to her party. And okay, so the first step was sitting in the cafeteria and sitting with those girls. That was the first step. I didn't know what the second step was until I got there. So this was one of the girls I just said her birthday party that I actually went to. Remember, the other girl I couldn't go because I had work. This time I went. Well, I was gonna go. This day my family was invited to like a not a dinner party, but like one of my friends invited us over for dinner, and it was like an hour or two before I had to go to the birthday party. And I didn't really know how I was gonna get to the birthday party because the birthday party was like an hour away, and the food was taking forever to come out. We were at the my family's friend's place, their house. Dinner was taking forever, and I had to be somewhere because what I planned on doing was eating and then leaving. But the dinner hadn't come. The party had already started by this point, so I was like, dang, I'm just not gonna go. And then my sister, who I knew, she did not want to drive me. She did not want to drive no hour away. She drove an entire hour and took me to that birthday party, which now I know was God, because he was like, oh, she needs to be here. So that was the first thing. I walked into that party, and I was like so late. It was so embarrassing. So I had to go sit at some table in the corner. There was one table where like all like the really good friends, I guess everybody's like all the cool friends had sat together. They all went to my school. They were all sitting together, chatting, laughing, having fun, being all loud. And I sat at the table where it was like 5 people, and they were very quiet. They didn't say anything. And I was like, dang, I guess I'm just gonna be at the quiet table today. And there's one girl, I did know her, and I guess I felt more comfortable because I knew her. And I could already tell this was gonna be one of those parties where I was just gonna mingle a little bit, drop off my gift, and leave early. That's not what happened, but that's almost what happened. I was sitting with her and I was talking to her, and she's pretty quiet too. She doesn't really socialize that much. But I was kind of socializing with her, but I was more so on my phone. And then the birthday girl came in eventually. She made her rounds. She mostly was talking to the table, which were more of her closer friends. This is the table I was sitting was like the louder table. And then there was our table right next to it in the back corner, which is where I was at. She said hi to me and everything. And I was just looking over, because by then she had sat at the other table. And I was looking over, and they looked like they were having so much fun. I was like, dang, I want to be over there. It looks so fun over there. So all I was thinking was I'm going to text my sister and see if she can pick me up. And then I was like, Kirsten, this could either be one of those situations where you leave early because you don't want to talk to nobody. You're afraid to go sit with somebody at that table. Mind you, there were no open seats at this table. So I was even more so like, oh, I can't sit there anyway because there's no open seats. And I was like, you could either leave or you could try and talk to somebody over there. And the good thing was, I can't believe I forgot this. I had joined the Christian club. The Holy Spirit told me to join the Christian club. I've been meaning to join. I finally did join because I had known some girl who was in the club. And I'm sorry, this is so off track, but it's fine. At the meeting, I was sitting, and I'd known one of the girls who was there, and I guess we just got to talking about just I'm sure The Chosen, and we got into a whole rant about Christianity. We just got really passionate, and this girl, she just came in, she sat with us. I didn't know who she was. My other friend didn't know who she was. She just sat and she was like, "Hey, yeah, girl, because let me tell you whatever." And we all had a whole thing, like a very loud conversation. And I was like, "Dang, like what's going on?" And the girl, mind you, she was real tiny, really tiny. She had these space buns with her beats on, and I thought she was a freshman. I thought she was a whole freshman. So yeah, she sat with us, and then by the end of the meeting, she was like walking with me, and mind you, like I wasn't looking to be friends with her because I thought she was a freshman. Yeah, I thought she was a freshman. I really wanted to be friends with somebody who was in my grade. So when it came to things like prom and homecoming, I could actually see them there. So I wasn't really like trying to like pursue anything. But she was talking to me, and she was very nice. She was very friendly. It was kind of like those I forgot what I was gonna say, whatever. Yeah, so she just started talking to me like she had known me forever, and I was like, oh, cool. She's like, I could tell she's one of them extroverted people who likes to socialize. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And then sometimes she'd see me in the hallways and she'd say hi, and I wouldn't expect her to say hi because I just thought it was gonna be just a one-off thing. Like we talked at Christian club and that's it. No, she talked to me. She said hi to me in the hallway, and yeah, she would talk to me, socialize with me all the time. And then I don't remember her coming to the other Christian club meetings, but I saw her at the party and I was like, oh, how does she know my friend? So I felt a little more comfortable because I had known at least one person over there. So I knew if I could know at least one person, then I'd have the courage to go sit over there. So I made the decision to get up and I went over to that table, and mind you, there were no seats open, they were all very close. And I talked to my friend, and she was talking to two other girls, and I talked to them too. I didn't know who they were, they didn't know who I was, but I just inserted myself in their conversation,